What's up? Bam, Sevon's live. Here we go.
He gave us the keys again, so I guess that was a good show last time that we were on.
There's more stuff in the background of his StreamYard than there was the last time, which is making it even more daunting. But it's pretty cool. It's fun. Yeah, Chase Ingraham.
Good morning.
Kill Taylor. You want to talk about Kill Taylor?
Kill Taylor. Golly. That was probably the best episode they ever did, because the hope was, as this picked up, would be like bigger athletes would come in, not to discredit like anybody that's been taking Taylor on recently, but they would just come in and either not beat him, which would be wildly exciting, or to smoke him, which would be even like more exciting and fun to talk about. And when Yellow Host and that whole crew called in, like Victor Hopper, just like on a cell phone, is like almost more pretty than I remember.
Yeah, he's the model. Somebody called you a model. Just say what's up. Hey, what's up, everybody? Heidi, Devesh, Craig, Augustus. Good to see you again.
Oh yeah, the comments.
Barry McCockner, just because I like saying your name all the time.
I'm embarrassed how long it took me to figure that out.
Well, I obviously didn't figure it out because I read it and you're like, no, read it slower. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, the real Kevin. Hey guys, what's up? Good morning. Vindicate, yo, Olivia, what's up? Wild Zombie, thank you for popping in last night. That was cool. And yes, Victor Hoffer is definitely a model. They're all good looking though. Mm-hmm. I mean,
true.
Do they just grow them like that over there? I guess I don't know.
No, yeah, it's like they all have like good skin and nice muscle tone and somewhat feminine features. I don't know what it might be the case.
Oh, here we go. And they did say something too about how Victor couldn't do the women's weights. He had to do the men's weights. It didn't matter.
Part of the fun is accepting that the trash talk is going to be there, which is the best part of sports, in my opinion, having played sports, and that everybody signs on board as like, it's a roast and it's an event and it's supposed to be brash and out of pocket and unhinged. And as long as you know what you're signing up for, that's what makes it the most fun.
It was good. Well, we've had two games athletes beat Taylor, and then one meth head Matthew out of the garage.
Dude, Matthew.
That's right. Okay.
Matthew.
I don't know. I think I like it more when Matthew won than I do when games athletes win. Like, I want to see Taylor beat the games athletes, but I want to see him get beaten by some dude in a garage with a lawnmower. That's kind of
And I actually like, that's a really good way to put it. It's like, we would like Taylor to go toe to toe with the best in the world, and then we would love just like Joe Blows to come in and just beat Taylor. That would be the best case scenario across the board.
Because my favorite is he talks so much, like Taylor talks so much shit. And then when Matthew beat him, it was like, oh, fuck. And then he kind of just sat back in his chair and didn't really have much to say after that. I think for me as a fan, that was probably my favorite one, was because he is so crass and just says what he wants. And then it was like, oh, well, I'm going to make you sit down. So go sit down somewhere. So.
You felt it coming too, because the amount of trash talk they were giving him before he had started that workout. I was like, I feel like this is just destiny. This is the guy that's going to do it, right? The dude in the shed cooking meth, who just looks like everybody you go to the gym with.
Yep, he was skinny too, just muscles everywhere. That was fun. That was very fun.
It was really cool.
And you have Jeopardy later. Thank God that's back.
Yes,
so excited.
CrossFit Jeopardy, 1 p.m. Central today. It is back. Semi-finals just derailed the whole system, so. We may need not do it every other week. We might need to do every week to catch up. My big pipe dream is that the CrossFit Games are coming to Fort Worth. I live in Dallas. Right? I'll be there. And I heard that there's a couple local bars that host a Jeopardy night. So my pipe dream is we host a Jeopardy night Friday or Saturday night at the CrossFit, like during the CrossFit Games, at one of these pubs for like a live CrossFit Jeopardy show at the bar.
That would be so
That would be my,
That-
that I think that would be super cool. And and I don't even know if any of these guys are coming, but I feel like we need to bring back Taylor versus John and maybe Andrew Hiller as just like the most off, like we'll have to warn the crowd is like, listen, if you're a fan of this show, realize this show is no longer this show, right? This is going to be rough.
Well, we talked about that last time of bringing the three of them together and almost having like a bonus or offset bracket for them. And then, but I feel like doing that in person in Dallas would probably be one of the biggest gifts that you could give the CrossFit space out there, and just seeing the three of them go at it in person and you trying to navigate and getting ready to be like, shut up, John, shut up, Taylor, shut up, Pillar. Like that was my favorite.
The funny part is the one I have to keep in line the most is John. Right?
Of the three? Really?
Yeah, like Taylor does his thing, Hiller does it. Like I know what I'm getting, but like getting John back on the rails, episode 1 was the most difficult thing to do, because like if John gets a question wrong, John's never wrong.
No.
Right? And then you have to slowly explain it to him like a child. It's like, no, you actually are wrong. There are rules to this game of which you have to adhere to.
I didn't think that John would be the most difficult one of the three.
That was the I like that episode the best, but I'm excited for the panel that you're going to have on today. I can't wait to see. Is it Souza, Seth from
So Liam Miller won. My other favorite thing is like we've never had the same winner twice. We've only had 3 episodes, but so this will be episode 4. However, I would say the most unlikely person, say, except for week 1, won Jeopardy, which I think is actually the best part, because it wouldn't be as fun if, say, you just had someone on it that won every single time we were on. It's like me on Death By. Like, how much fun is that to watch if I just win
all the time?
Just win all the time.
Now, I haven't won lately, but there was a streak there where I was like, man, I'm almost getting bored. Can we get some competition on here? So I love that, John won week 1, and then Keith Knapp comes out of nowhere and wins week 2 and didn't talk for half the show. And then Liam Miller just closes hard at the end at the same time. So I'm curious. So it's going to be Matt Souza, Seth Page from Jump Ship Training, and then Aaliyah Miller is defending her title today. So I'm excited.
Very excited for that.
I don't even know who to root for because I like all of them. Like I love them all. So I was like, I don't even know. I guess I'm going to root for who's behind at the end, needs to come back and win.
That's how I watch sports often, unless it's my favorite team, is that I'll cheer for one team, and if they have a big lead, then I stop cheering for them and I start cheering for the other team to catch them. And then that's just how my cheering goes for casual sports watching.
Well, I saw in the comments, I saw Bernie Gannon asked a great question. I wanted to get into this because while we have you, for the little while that we have you, I've been dying to talk about
sports.
Sports.
She needs a sports friend.
Sports friend.
Yes. I do my part. We've been together for so long that I've learned like this much about sports, but she needs a sports friend.
And
Fair.
And Bernie asked a question about trash talking. I love trash talking. I think it's great for any sport. I think it's fun. It makes a storyline. And the one that's happening the most right now is the Caitlin Clark one.
Yes. Oh, Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen this yet, this is the actual foul that happened.
Carter now with 12 points off the
So
bench.
you can see, right? It's not a basketball foul. There's no play happening. Yeah.
I mean,
they should show the part that happened before this, not to justify this action.
Oh, go ahead. No, tell me. I saw it, but
there was like a turnover or something, and Caitlin Clark like gets in that girl's face going down the court. And then I don't know if this was like on the next play or soon after, but
it was soon after. She was yapping, and that's what Caitlin Clark is known for. She talks so much.
She does talk so much, and
yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it, because I get in these weird positions. Like I like trash talk, but I only like trash talk when I feel like it's appropriate to talk trash, right? Not every time something bad happens to you, because that's just complaining. It's like Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is Luka Doncic is what I like to call a bumblebee. And what I mean by that is like, you look at a bumblebee and you're like, how do you work? Like, how do you fly? You are just this giant bulbous bug with these tiny little wings. Yet there you go. And that's how I look at Luka Doncic. Like, like if I saw him, aside from his like height and stature, just like at the YMCA, I'm like, I don't have to worry about this dopey, soft white dude at all. And then he goes out there and he does the most incredible things I have ever seen. Right. And that's the Bumblebee. But then it's like complaining every time he doesn't get fouled, or complaining time he gets called for a foul, or like there's just too much of that where I was like, I don't like that. But if he like makes something and yells at Rudy Gobert that you can't effing guard, like I'm like, yeah, right. Get in his face, have some drama, but it's like the complaining stuff I don't care for.
I love it. I love it that it annoys other people. I love it that then they want to fight her. I love it that then you have, because it's not fun to watch unless there's a storyline, unless there's a rivalry. We weren't watching women's basketball last year. You were just watching college. You weren't watching the pros. You were watching college because the storyline was in the college women's sports. But I don't like the way the media is making it out to be right now, that there's a race issue or whatever. Women were, we've always hazed the rookies. Always. It didn't matter if you were a good rookie, but we mostly wanted to haze the really good rookies. Like you think you're going to come in here and do some stuff. We're going to knock you on your ass every time you drive down the lane. Yeah. We've always done that. This isn't new. I think people are seeing women do this now and they're like, oh, why? They don't do that. That's not a thing. Yes, it is. Women's soccer. They're horrible in women's soccer. Like they destroy each other in women's soccer.
Women are vicious, right? But like you guys are so nasty to each other. Like but like this conversation has been had as like guys fighting versus girls fighting. Most of the time when guys fight, we actually don't really want to fight each other, right? Like we will fight, fights will happen, but at the end of the day, it's not really the most enjoyable experience. It's not something we enjoy. Some people do, which is why they are in the MMA or they do boxing, right? But that is a very small group of people. I feel like girls want to fight and they want to hurt each other and they'll do whatever it takes to like maim the other person. And that's just like a big difference I've seen. I mean, like, just look at high school. Like if I look at a guy's fight in high school, I'm like, oh, that sucks. And I watch a girl's fight in high school. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to get in the middle of that.
Do you also feel like when men, go ahead, Beb, you can read that.
Yeah, CrossFit. This is also true that no one's really talking about either, is that Kennedy Carter, the girl that hit Caitlin Clark.
Was it Kennedy?
Yeah, that's how you spell it.
Good, because I was going to say Shenedy. So I'm glad you said it.
Well, that's how I say it. I don't know. That's what I've heard so far. But she also has a history of just being dirty. She's essentially
she's Draymond Green WNBA.
Yeah. So she's already got temper issues and whatnot. I don't really believe that it was a race card thing being pulled, or they like to throw around those buzzwords like privilege and whatever. I'm sorry that she's like the girl that got the $28 million contract from Nike and it wasn't somebody else, but
why did she get that contract? It wasn't because of her race. It was because she is the greatest female basketball player to ever play college basketball.
And she creates the most buzz around the sport.
Right? Yeah. She wasn't great at shooting threes because of the color of her skin or no different than how tall she was. Right. Or like none of that matters. She is one of the greatest female basketball players of all time. And collegiately, you could argue statistically the best, right? She completely changed the game of basketball, not unlike Steph Curry did. Right. Before Steph Curry got to the NBA, and we could see this in like NCAA tournaments and him coming in, is like, how is his college game going to translate to the NBA? Because the college game is run and gun, fast pace, shoot threes or dunk, right? Like if you look at a shot chart, it's like outside the 3-point line and inside the paint. That's it. Yeah. How is that going to translate to the NBA when everyone's bigger, stronger? There's the post-up game. And then he goes to the NBA and he completely changes the way the NBA is played. And Caitlin Clark was doing the same thing for college basketball for women. I have never watched college basketball, or I don't watch much college basketball, men or women in general, unless it's the NCAA tournament. And I just don't watch women's basketball because I've never had a desire to watch women's basketball because I just watch men's basketball, right? The NCAA tournament for the women this year, I watched more women's basketball in those couple of weeks than I had in my entire life combined. And I was like waiting for the games to start. And I was like, when's Caitlin Clark playing? Right? Because it was fun to watch. Like the game was so much different than what it was, say, 5-10 years ago. Because the women's basketball game was like the men's basketball game was 15 or 20 years ago before Curry got into the league, or where it was just like, who had the bigger athletes to just post them up and do, layups in the lane.
And also, what else we got? We got to be physical like that. We can't dunk. We can't make it excited by dunking. And CrossFit, you're right. Brittany Griner's not exciting to watch. Like we don't have that. So we have to be physical. That's how we create the storylines and make it fun for spectators.
Right.
So we've always been doing this. The fact that they're trying to make it seem like we didn't do this and now all of a sudden we are is ridiculous. We've always. And Caitlin Clark is going to make it. Wait till Juju comes out of USC. The girl from USC. She was a freshman.
Is she a freshman this year?
She's going to be a sophomore.
Freshman. She's going to be a sophomore.
When she comes out and comes into the WNBA, thanks to Caitlin Clark, now she's probably going to get some Under Armour deal for $40 million over 10 years.
What about Paige from UConn? I mean, she was actually supposed to be the Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark, and then she had a couple of knee injuries that derailed her college career for a couple of years.
Yeah. A lot of that class is going to be good. I mean, Angel Reese, she's getting pounded too. They make it seem like Angel Reese isn't getting pounded. Angel Reese, I've seen clips of her get destroyed going for rebounds or coming down the lane. She gets hazed like a motherfucker. Like it's everybody. It's equal opportunity. Everybody can get it, and I think it's great.
Well, don't you feel like, because I know you've talked about this before, that men's basketball, for instance, is not the same as it used to be years ago. Years ago, it was downright dirty. Like, there you were fouling people, but the game kept going. And it was like, that was the excitement. Those were the roots of the sport of basketball. It's sounding like that with the women, it's almost creating that same kind of energy for some people that know the men's sport from before. But isn't that what you want? Because the more fun that it is, the more dramatic it is, the more eyes you get, then the more money comes in. And then there's that conversation between the wage gap between men and women. And it's because there's not enough people paying attention to it that are spending enough money on it. So don't we actually want something like this?
That's a great question. What do all the old timer senile people talk about the NBA these days? It's like flopping and drama queens and everybody's soft. And we miss the 80s and 90s of the New York Knicks and Oakley out there, just was it Charles Mason out there just smashing people, and the Pistons back in the day. And all those old school teams, where it was just it was, you could say it's the WNBA is maybe 15 or 20 years behind the men, but it looks like their version of it is the version that we actually miss or talk about all the time as far as sports fans do. That's actually a great point. I didn't even think about that.
I was talking to Pool Boy when it first happened, and the one thing I was most mad about was where was the enforcer on Caitlin Clark's team? If I was her power forward, someone was getting knocked out that day. She was that girl was gonna, and yes, I did say pound it at one point, and I'm gonna say it now. If she'd have drove down the lane after that, she'd have ate it. She'd have gotten so many elbows, it just wouldn't have even where was her teammates?
That's where my concern is, right? And that is the perfect understanding. That is that if your team, I get it if other teams and other players are just jealous of Caitlin Clark's popularity and success. But at the end of the day, she is bringing attention to your sport that you have been begging for decades. And she is doing that. And why are you mad about that? Right? And I get it. If you don't like that, fine. Right. So it's like Kobe coming into the league. Kobe came into the league because everybody thought he's oh, this guy's trying to be Jordan already at an 18-year-old coming out of high school. And so he got it too.
Yep.
LeBron didn't quite as much just because he was so good when he came into the league, but that's part of the game, right? And so when other teams are acting like that, as you said, sports, The problem and concern I have is that her teammates, like you said, are not stepping up and defending her when something like that happens or in the public eye. Like that's where I have a concern. Is it that bad of a like jealousy with these athletes in the league, or is there, and I'm not saying there is, like, is there actually some merit to a dislike of how she presents herself and carries herself on a team?
David Weed, her teammates hate her too. I was thinking a lot about this, and there are some different avenues that you can go down with this. The social pressure to say that she's privileged because she's white and blah blah blah. I don't know if some of her teammates don't want to come out and just say like, hey, there's no privilege here. She did this on her own merit. She did this with her own work ethic. Because if they do, then they'll look like they're against Black people. And I feel like that subconsciously is somewhere in there too, because the media has made it so much about race that what? You have so many players that have walked around. You kind of have to be the best at something. You kind of have to be a little crazy. Like Michael Jordan was a little crazy. Like he just was.
Oh, for sure. Like there is some time. I mean, Roy McKernan said this best, I think, about CrossFit Games athlete. It's like being a good CrossFit Games athlete is a borderline mental health disorder, is what you have to do to be like that, right? The sacrifices any great athlete has to make to focus solely on being the greatest person in their singular sport is they have to give up so much outside of that to focus on that, right? And it's very weird to see what the media does. Not just saying like race as being one of those things, but like the pitting against just like men and women. And it's like when Caitlin was breaking all the records in women's NCAA, but then they started bringing in like men's records to like prove a point. I'm like, why are we even doing that? Like you were setting everything up for failure, because why can't we just celebrate her being great at the sport at which she plays? Why do we need to bring in any other sport or any other athlete, especially on the men's side, to do what? Like, where's the positive spin? Is like, oh, she has the most points ever for any NCAA player and AA player, including this man who currently holds the record for most points in college basketball, which I think there was not even a 3-point line when he set the record.
It was Pistol Pete Maravich. And
right. How old? The guy had a Pistol Pete nickname. That means it's at least in the 50s, right? Like that just sounds like a dude that was smoking a cigarette on the bench.
He did.
There you go. Right? It's like old Sam Sally for the Chicago White Sox pitcher, right? He's just smoking on the pitcher's mound. Mm-hmm. But it's like, what is the win there to bring something like that up? Because either one, you discredit what this guy did at the time, which he did, to arbitrarily uplift the stats of this one, or you make everybody just kind of like fake approve it, or you put them in a position to say, why are we even doing this? And then they get crap for it. And it totally discredits what she's doing. Yeah. Right? Or it's like, hey, who would beat who who's the guy they drafted out of Iowa, the cornerback, like the infamous white corner that is now going into the NFL. And they asked him, because he went to Iowa, he's like, can you beat Caitlin Clark in a one-on-one game? He's like, what am I supposed to do when you ask me that question? It's like, of course I think I can, right?
Of course you can.
But like, where's the win there? Mm-hmm. You just put these people in just a horrible position instead of just take what they're doing and celebrate that in the avenue and the arena in which they're doing it. And then we can all be happy.
I think they're trying to just make it seem like women can do, and I wonder if there's a little bit of that alphabet mafia agenda behind it, where if they make it seem like women can do the same things as men, then it's okay for this whole thing to happen. Then men can play in women's sports and women can play in men's sports and la-di-da. And no, they can't. A high school tennis player, like a high-ranking high school tennis player, is probably going to be a professional women's tennis player. There's no
Serena Williams said that.
Yeah.
Herself. Serena Williams is the greatest female tennis player of all time. And there is the second place is on a different planet to Serena Williams. That's it. And she even said, as like the 400th ranked male professional in the world, could just smoke her in straight sets with straight points. But like, why bring that into the conversation to discredit what she does at all? Right. And I agree with you, because it's like, hey, like I love, and that's the cool thing about CrossFit, right? Is that CrossFit has it all figured out, in my opinion, when it comes to sports. Is like, hey, guess what? I love watching both the same amount as that. I celebrate the women as I celebrate the men. They get the same payout at the CrossFit Games at any competition. Like, it's awesome. But they also have like different weights and different rep schemes sometimes, because they're different people. And that's okay. And then we get to enjoy their performance, and it has nothing to do with who they are or what they look like, or, you know, you just watch people perform in athletics. And I think that's the beauty of sports.
Ooh,
Tia is not the exception. Like, put Tia in the men's field. Like, why put that in there? Then you like make us have this conversation. Vindicate, that was a terrible thing to put in there. That's exactly my point of the problem of media. Why put that in there? She's not the exception. She is the exception in her sport against the people that she competes with. She is the greatest of all time, and she is borderline untouchable.
I was thinking about this the other day when Pedro sent me his questions for Around the Whiteboard. Jules Kennedy, women and men are made differently. Why is that such a bad thing? Yeah, for sure.
That's the Kennedy I thought.
Oh,
see it, Kennedy.
But when he sent me the question about male and female differences or the sport, I think CrossFit kind of, or at least for me, it did. It gave me this kind of illusion that like the men and the women are racing each other on an equal playing field, because the weights made it, you know, the same kind of stimulus for the women and then the men's weight. And so it gives this illusion a little bit that men and women can race each other, which is fun to watch and makes the sport more fun.
I agree.
But they can't.
They're not playing the same sport.
Right.
With the same field of play. But that's why you do. And there's if we switch back to say like the WNBA or just women's basketball in general, there's like, how do we make, this was before I would say Caitlin came in. It's like, oh, how do we make this more exciting and engaging for, say, like a male audience, or not even a male, just for an audience in general, because there's actually more men, I think, that watch women's basketball than women. But that's another point. It's like, oh, well, what do we do? Maybe we like lower the rim so they're all dunking. I was like, maybe. Now you'd have to change a generation of people like learning how to shoot a basketball for about 100 years. But it's conversations like that. It's like, how do we make it? It's like, or let's just enjoy the sport for what it is and move on and watch.
Because then that brings me to this, which is fire. And I thought this point that Riley, I mean, I love Riley, but I thought that this point that she makes is awesome.
It was a pretty
that we should get rid of sporting categories altogether. Do you support the idea of eliminating the Paralympics versus the Olympics?
I think that's a really great question. And
Oh my God.
I need to look into that.
That's very ablephobic.
Right? So in order to make his point that women should be allowed to compete with men and men should be allowed to compete with women, we're just going to get rid of like the Olympics, and Paralympics are going to compete against people that don't have a disability. Like,
it's an extreme example of the point most people are trying to make. Right. And yeah, now I'm like sweating now. Like,
I'm sorry. I know it's annoying. I'm sorry. I'll ask Bernie's question. CrossFit is so unusual in that there's just about the same interest in both the male and female sides of the sport. What other sport is like that?
Swimming, track and field.
Tennis was like that, but now I don't think many people are interested in. Maybe that might be the closest one.
I feel like tennis is there. I was actually thinking about this in the car ride this morning. Golf, not. Basketball, soccer. I don't know, Olympic sports for the majority. If I watch the Olympics, I'm watching all of it. I'm actually watching women's gymnastics more than men's. I'll watch women's volleyball indoor more than men's volleyball indoor for some reason.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. My wife played volleyball, so that might be a part of it.
I was like,
Yeah,
I don't,
that's a good question.
I don't know. It's interesting to me just because they're making such a big deal out of it, and I don't think that it's
I'm
that.
so glad that's not in CrossFit.
Yeah.
Right.
But I
And
mean, if they hurt her, if they keep doing this to her and they hurt her,
well,
now
true.
no one's watching anymore.
Right.
So they're playing with fire.
It's wild to me. But another issue of that is like the curse of being like the one coming out of college and going into pros. And I was thinking about this morning as well, because I just knew we would be talking about this. And the best thing to ever happen to Michael Jordan is that he wasn't that. Like, he wasn't the second coming of basketball Jesus. He was a very good basketball player in college, won a national championship, and he was on the board. But like, Jordan went second in the draft. You're going to tell me the greatest basketball player of all time went second in the draft. And I think that's what allowed him the time to become great, because he didn't come in and start winning championships right away. The Last Dance documentary is the greatest thing that ever happened to me during the pandemic.
Yes.
Her
We got to
too.
put this out right now. Right?
Her too.
But Tom Brady, right? What,
Yeah.
one drafted 144th, 7th rounder?
Yep.
Backup. Drew Bledsoe was like the good luck Chuck of NFL quarterbacks, by the way. It's like, he goes down, there comes Tom Brady. He goes down, here comes Tony Romo.
Yep.
So you think, so would you say that the athletes that get picked first or get the most exposure or like the pressure of wanting to be that, it's not always a good thing because that's what they're striving for?
I mean, what expectations is always a weight on young athletes. I mean, what is Caitlin Clark? 21, 22?
Yeah, 22, I think.
A baby. Like, I'm 41. You're a baby now. Like, when I was 22, I thought I was a man. No, I'm barely a man now, and I'm about to be 42. Like, they're just kids. But when I was 12 years old watching the NFL, the NBA, or Major League Baseball, it's like, look at these grown men playing sports. I'm like, oh no, they're just older kids.
Yeah.
In their young 20s, and put the expectations, like the weight of women's basketball was put on Caitlin Clark, and still look what she did with it. Right? Iowa had no business winning a national championship ever, but they almost did twice, or did once, almost did twice because of her.
Yeah,
because of her only. And that's the cool thing about basketball, is like one person can absolutely change the way a team performs. But like, that's a lot of weight to put on her. And then they go to the NBA or the WNBA. Like, that's just expectations of that, the pressure, the social media, the media, things like older athletes didn't have to deal with.
I think she's handling it great. I mean, even just the parody thing that she did, where she was like, "Hey, Kennedy, the only reason anybody knows who you are is because you fouled me. You're welcome." Like, I'm fine with that.
Great.
That fire.
That goes back to trash talk. Great. You're right. Right. The only reason anybody knows, I don't want to say anybody, but the casual fan, or just the casual person, they don't even have to be a fan, knows who half the top 5 drafts into the WNBA are, is because of Caitlin Clark. Like Angel Reese, I would never know who you are if you didn't talk shit to Caitlin Clark, because I didn't watch basketball, but I watched that, and that was all over. Yes, this thing.
That's the only reason. And then she went like this and pointed to a ring finger. That's the only reason you know who Angel Reese is.
And the reason why it broke records this year in the NCAA tournament is because we were all hoping that she would get revenge, because people love that. Right.
We followed the storyline from college to the WNBA. Now, literally the person holding up women's college basketball is going to be Juju. And I hope she gets into a fight with somebody somewhere, so we can now follow that all the way through college, as we're following this all the way through the WNBA. I think people just have to get on board, and I'm sure they are jealous because no woman's made $28 million out the gate before ever putting on, you know, a WNBA uniform. No woman made as much money in basketball with the NIL deals that she had at Iowa. She was a millionaire before she even got the Nike thing. So it's like just ride.
And why was that? Right? Because she was the greatest women's basketball player in the history of college basketball.
For sure.
That's it. That's why you got the deal. If Angel Reese was that statistically, she would have gotten all that and all the popularity, but she wasn't. She was a very good basketball player.
Dick Butter, 28 mil. Yeah, over 8 years, 28 mil.
Yeah.
And everybody was trying to get her. All of them were trying to get her. Under Armour, like
Did you see what she signed for though?
Oh no, what'd she sign for? Like $3,000?
It was like 4 years, $438,000 or something like that.
Oh shoot. Hey Andrew. Yeah, that's
yeah, it was wild. And so when my wife saw that, she's like, "This is why I didn't continue playing basketball in college."
Yeah. Well, Angel, I like, and Andrew says I like Angel, and then Angel's a baller. Yeah, she absolutely
she is
for sure, and I love her as the heel character.
Right.
The only problem is I don't think she's actually playing the heel. I think she's genuinely pissed off, and that's what causes the problem. If she just played the heel character and hammed up to that and enjoyed it, but she looks like she's actually letting it get to her. Like she doesn't know
she's playing the victim.
Yeah. Instead of just leaning into being the heel and going out and having fun and probably, you know.
Do you blame that or not blame? Do you associate that with the way the media covers it? Because usually when stories come out like this, it starts one way where it could start kind of like the heel or the, you know, being pissed off because she's the one that, you know, Caitlin's the one that got the money and got the fame and got all that type of stuff and whatever. But then what happens in most spaces is the media gets a hold of it, and then people's opinions, political opinions, personal opinions, everything gets thrown in the air. And then unfortunately, in so many times, it goes towards that and you lose the actual foundation of like just the drama of being in a professional sport. So would you say that the media has a lot to do with that too?
100%. Think of any reality TV show. They're like, all right, here's some character traits we see. So we're going to make sure any video we cut to you is just displaying those character traits which we think should be presented to you. Right? A great example is Luke Parker. You guys remember Luke Parker from The Bachelor when he was on The Bachelor? Like they painted him out as like this like crazy person. Like Luke Parker's a good dude.
It took me forever to like him. When the first time he showed up,
and why? Because of The Bachelor. This is this crazy, like they painted him out, and it exactly like they make that, and that's what the media does. Like especially these days, like the media's job these days, for whatever reason, is to just separate us all.
Yeah, I think so too, and it's so sad because I mean, sorry, I've been going through this whole WWE like.
Rivalry.
Yeah, all the nostalgia of, you know, the Attitude Era and whatnot. And in my mind,
Hulk Hogan and that heel turn.
Right.
Yep.
Just lean in.
That devastated me, by the way. And I don't even like wrestling, but I loved Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Oh, he was your guy.
He was my guy. I had a Hulk Hogan underwear. Let me preface. I was 8. No. Before it's like, oh, high school was a really lonely time for you. No, I was 8 years old, and me and my brothers, we had these like, it was like WWE wrestling, like graphic design underwear, tidy whities, right? But I had Hulk Hogan just like on my butt, and my brother had, who was the Macho Man.
Oh, yep.
Right? So we would just like take all the cushions off the couch and just battle royale in the living room.
Royal Rumble, baby.
That's it.
And my poor youngest brother, like I'm 8, my brother's 6, but he's bigger than I am by the time I'm 8. And then there's our little 4-year-old bro who's just, you know, hanging on for dear life in the middle of that pandemonium. And I remember asking my dad, I was like, Dad, because like Hulk Hogan was like the man to me. It's like he was no one could beat him.
Yeah,
I was
take
like,
your vitamins.
yeah. And my dad is like, I could beat Hulk Hogan. I'm like, no, you can't. He's like, you don't think I can beat Hulk Hogan? I was like, Dad, he rips his shirt in half when he gets into the arena. And my dad just goes, with a shirt, not a cut shirt, just a white, like old school white t-shirt, like the Hanes white t-shirt, like a
With the
t-shirt. you could-
collar.
yeah, right. An unbreakable. It might as well be made out of leather. Just in my face, ripped his shirt in half in front of me, and I was like, "My dad is a superhero. My dad can beat Hulk Hogan." And so I tried it. I tried it a couple years ago because it obviously sticks with me for a reason. And I tried to rip just a plain cotton white t-shirt from the neck down, and about blew my shoulder out in the process. And it went, and all I did was stretch it out. So it's that annoying,
Yep.
like loose t-shirt. I'm like, well, I guess I'm throwing this away. How did we even get here?
Because I was talking about her leaning into being the heel, which I just
Be the
think
heel, beat Draymond Green, right? But if you want to be the star, then act differently.
because
That
Caitlin
comes-
Clark,
like, you don't think LeBron James acts a certain way to have some type of certain perception to him, or Kobe Bryant or Tom Brady? Like, they, in the entertainment industry, which is what sports is at the end of the day, right? Like the CrossFit Games is entertainment, right? The CrossFit methodology is something completely different. That's the separation, right?
Yep.
The NFL, it's entertainment, it's TV.
yeah, the best one.
They are playing a part.
Yeah.
Podcast.
best-
Yeah.
You know how annoying it would be if I talked like this during dinner?
Yep.
Like, no, like you were at a 12. Like, please come down back to a 4.
Is this your radio voice right now? What's your regular
No,
voice?
this is how I normally type.
Okay.
I don't have a radio voice.
But
Which
yeah,
is the
the
weird thing about hanging out with Sean Woodland. It was like, that's how he talks
All the time.
all the time. Maybe not at like that pace and excitement, right? Because when I get anybody gets excited, like, you know, your tones, but like the way he sounds, I'm like, man, you this is what you sound like all the time. It's kind of weird.
No, the best to ever do it were like Jeter, Brady. I don't know if Kobe though.
Rodriguez.
Kobe later on, he got his shit together later on. He was he came out of in
God, I
high
tell you
school.
what,
He was
I never like I call this thing sports hate. Right? I don't truly hate anybody.
Yeah.
But I have sports hate for the same reason I love sports pettiness. Right? The Angel Reese hand in her face, whatever, to Caitlin Clark, sports pettiness. I didn't like it, but I also loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I was like, I hope Caitlin gets her back. That's like me cheering for the team down 20-0. I was like, ooh, they got her. And then that happened. I'm like, ooh, we need to get her. We need to get her back. Right.
Yeah.
Get her back next year. But sports hate, I never liked Kobe because I love and revere Michael Jordan
right.
to a level which I hope I'd never meet him in person.
Because he can't live up to that. Right.
Right. And we all know he won't. Right.
Right.
If I knew him as a person, right? But you are basketball Jesus. Right. Or what did he call himself? Black Jesus?
Black cat, black Jesus, black cat.
Yeah. Whatever. Right. All the above. Check. Also true. And so when Kobe was coming, I was like, this dude trying to be Michael Jordan, right? Like, screw this guy. And so I always hated him. Plus, I was a Spurs fan. So his freaking Lakers would always take out my Spurs in the playoffs. Freaking Derek Fisher, 0.14 shot in the playoffs. Son of a bitch.
Dude, I don't know what happened to your team. I never root for Boston ever. Or last night.
I am not a Dallas Mavericks fan. I am team San Antonio Spurs, and then anyone who plays the Mavericks. Those are the two teams I cheer for. That is it.
Does it matter what part of Texas? Like what are the regions of Texas that only root for Dallas and only root for?
Yeah. So as you guys know, Texas is like the 13th largest country in the world.
Right.
We just happen to reside in the United States. Is So I live in Dallas, which is 5 hours north of San Antonio, which is still like 5 hours north of the tip of Texas. Like it's huge. So San Antonio, right? You've got your fans there. And then Dallas, 5 hours north. But then we have Houston, right? The Houston Rockets. Like our state has 3 basketball teams in it. And so, yeah, it is geographic. And, everybody moves everywhere. So you kind of bring your fandom here and there. But so it's like, I love the Dallas Cowboys, the Texas Rangers, the Dallas Stars, and the San Antonio Spurs. Because I grew up in San Antonio.
Are you guys keeping Dak this year? Or is Dak going away?
Keeping Dak.
You're going to keep Dak?
I mean, there's really...
He didn't sign yet.
I think I don't know. They're not, I mean, I guess that's up to him.
You think they're going to give him the money he wants? I don't think they're going to give him the money he wants.
I hope not.
So you don't want him. You don't want to pay
I do want him. I just don't want him at that price. It's like when we signed Zeke, it was the worst financial decision to sign Zeke Elliott, who was not going up as far, like they were just paying him for the first 2 years of his career.
He's a running back too. You can't, you run out of, it's not like a quarterback that can keep throwing and eat avocado ice cream and make it till his 40s. He's not doing that. There's no way. So it doesn't matter how many avocados you eat.
And the Cowboys, like all the other Dallas teams have got their shit together, except for the Dallas Cowboys. It's like Stars, Western Conference Finals, Mavericks in the championship. Texas Rangers won it. And then there's the Dallas freaking Cowboys. Who was my fan in existence.
I can't. I'm sorry, dude. I hate the Cowboys. I hate the Eagles. It's like it's born in me. I can't.
Who's your team?
We're New York. So I mean, I suffer a little bit right now. Yeah, Mets, Giants, and the Knicks. I was heartbroken.
God, how much did the Knicks nicked in the playoffs? That was
they were broken. They were so broken. Everybody had an injury. Damn. And then,
but I grew up a Yankees fan. I grew up in a Yankee household.
There's a little hate in this house right now.
So when we first got together and first got married, it was like conversations about the baseball teams was very interesting. But I mean, I watched baseball because my family watched baseball. It's kind of the same thing now. Like I watch baseball because she watches baseball, but they were all on the same page for the Giants though. Thank God. Everybody was a Giants fan. You had the one or two that were Bills fans. And I don't think I had anybody in the family that was a Jets fan. I think they knew better.
I didn't know anybody were Mets fans anymore.
Hey, calm down. It's hard.
They died when they shortened it to Mets. The last Mets fan, they used the whole word. Which is also the last time they were good.
But true. We had a little stint in the 90s where we got excited for half a second. And then, yeah, that was pretty much it.
I've been hanging on to the 90s Cowboys for 30 years now. So I can't really say anything.
Well, you guys haven't been relevant since the 90s. What are you talking about?
No, we are the most relevant. We're just not good.
He wants to set the record straight.
Yeah, which is why everybody hates us.
That is so fair.
You're not America's team. You don't win anything. The Pittsburgh Steelers are like hardcore America and they win more. I was like, nobody gives a shit about the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh,
right?
see, nice. She didn't want to hear it.
So
she took her.
Yeah. No Cowboys talk. Rip.
Screw that. I'm not listening to shit.
I'd rather defend my the most popular team in the entire world is the Dallas Cowboys.
And most hated?
And most hated.
Most hated, right? But I didn't say the favorite. I said most popular.
I think
when you're the most popular, everybody either hates you or either loves you, and there's zero in between. That's when you know you've made it.
Yeah. But that proves the whole concept of like any media is good media. Any, eyes on you or whatever. Like it doesn't it's fine if you don't it's fine if you don't love them, but you're still talking about them.
Still talking about them.
So.
Ooh, yeah, go down that route. Is any media good media? Do you just shake it off and just whatever kind of response you get? And
I think for the I don't know. I think of the way things feel. I don't like bad, grungy, dirty, untruth media attention. But if it's like, if somebody doesn't like you, I'm like, okay. Like if every single person has something nice to say about you, whether they know you or not. Like, oh, everybody loves them. I was like, then are they really who you think they are?
Right.
Mhm.
And unless they're just like that unicorn, then like I know I have a friend. His name's Jonathan Harris. Call him Shorty. And he's not short. He's just a very large black man, and he's a beautiful human being. And he drives me crazy because not only is he a beautiful specimen of a man, he is the nicest person I have ever met in my entire life. And no one I have ever met has ever had a bad thing to say about him. He's the only one I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But that's just because that's who he is to the core.
So I did want to ask you about this too, because there's I've been talking about it. I think Souza was talking about it a little bit, about possibly like leasing the sport of CrossFit. Pedro brought it up. So I started thinking about it, even though I got shot down for this answer, but I was like, hey,
She almost won.
and then
She
gave up.
almost won. She was 5 points away from winning. I was like, holy
5
shit.
points away.
No,
I think that's a
0.5.
record.
0.5.
0.5. Okay, that's much
0.5.
better.
I was like, oh my God.
I was
she
like, I
went
don't know if you've seen the
in.
scoring system, but like if you get 5, you win. So what happened?
Got 5.5.
Okay.
But what do you think about the possibly leasing the sport of CrossFit to the UFC? And what I said was basically like, let Dana White pump all the money he wants into it. The athletes get their brands out there. They're on like every relevant TV station possible. The money that CrossFit HQ gets from leasing the games to the UFC. Because Dana White he literally just said on a podcast that his favorite thing to do on the planet is find niche sports that nobody thinks will work and make them work. Like he's doing that power slap thing.
Okay.
Right. And now these athletes is 15 months in, and now these athletes are actually starting to get paid. They're going to training camp for power slap.
I hate that sport.
I know.
It's not even a sport.
No.
But I'm just saying Dana White made it into something that people want to watch. And now these athletes can make a living getting slapped in the face. Okay.
So like if that can work, why can't the CrossFit Games?
Right.
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 I'm not in the game sports team or have any decision-making skills at CrossFit. I'm just a humble affiliate rep. And whatever avenue that would be, if it's Dana White, I mean, think of what a Dana White, Dave Castro combo would be.
Right.
Whatever it is, I would love for there to be a way.
Oh, shoot.
Is the call-in working or is that at your actual phone?
I think it might be. We have a caller? Caller, hi.
Yes.
Oh.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, dude? What can I do for you?
Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. So I would like to pitch a CrossFit competition that has the top 5 males from the CrossFit Games go against the top 5 females from the CrossFit Games in the same stimulus.
It has to be the same workout if you want to make it work.
The same workout. That's right. Yeah, the same workout. They go at the
Same stimulus, right? Same stimulus means different weights, different distances to achieve maybe the same time. It has to be the same. And it's going to be very, not that it's not a good idea. If you can make it work, cool. Love to see it, because what a great GOAT debate there would be when it comes to that. But you have to figure out a way to program it to be the same workout, and that it doesn't favor one side versus the other, and it's right down the middle. And if you can do that, then I would be very excited to watch something like that.
Okay, perfect. That's an exciting answer. Now, this is a very important phone call.
It is.
I would love to pitch this idea with you following along on PegasusChampionship.com.
Go ahead, get your plug
And
in.
I've kind of written it all out.
Okay.
And I want your thoughts on the programming.
Okay.
From Chase.
You know where to find me.
Yeah, DM
Yeah.
Chase.
So he's the one, not us.
Yeah, you know where to find me. You're speaking my language.
Okay, fair enough. One more thing. I had an idea for the programming here, and I want your thoughts on the draft. You guys are talking about sports. I'm a huge sports fan. One idea I had was, in order to make this profitable, if the events were basically outsourced to boxes or individuals or companies through a draft process. So like if you play fantasy sports, there's a draft and the movements are all on a list, all the movements. And essentially boxes or people would apply to be part of the draft and then they would draft these movements. And this is kind of lined out on the website, but basically you go through this and you draft certain movements and then you'd be responsible for using those movements in a workout. And therefore each of the different workouts could be basically outsourced to, you know, people who could focus their entirety of their time on that workout.
I think when starting anything new and original, proof of concept is always a huge buy-in for the community. So before you get that, I would say intricate, is do something internally first and then put athletes on the field of play with your proof of concept and watch it happen. And it'll be easier to scale that up in that fashion. Cause there's a lot of variables in there to begin with if you were just doing it yourself. And then if you outsource the movements that aren't going to be the same used in drafts, like that's where like you don't want to confuse a new viewer when they still don't understand the concept first. So I would say start small, quality over quantity, simplicity over intricacy first, and then see how it gets proved as far as a proof of concept, and then see what the next step is.
Great. The other reason I bring it up is because maybe, like you said, it's best to just start in-house. And you know, it's a lot of problems that can arise when you have
hang on.
programming.
Hold on. We're not all like Sevan. We have to go to jobs after this, and I only have a certain amount of time. So my idea for you is,
I'm sorry.
Go DM Chase.
Yeah. We can have this conversation.
All of this out with Chase over said DMs. It's very easy. He'll write you back in like 20 minutes. He's good like that. But thank you for your phone call.
I appreciate all your time. Thank you.
Appreciate you, bro. I mean, that was fire, but I'm not sitting here for 2 hours. I can't. I gotta go to work still. I can't. And I only have you for like 3 more minutes.
You're good.
And there was something that I was really into asking you, and then I totally forgot about it what were we on? We were on sports.
It was selling.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Appreciate you.
The Dana White UFC.
Yeah. And the combination of Dana and Dave.
Yeah. Whatever it is, whatever way, path forward to bolster and professionalize, as so many people say these days, and they have no idea what they're actually talking about, is I want it to work so bad because it is such a fun, engaging, dramatic, exciting sport when it comes to open quarters, semis, CrossFit games. Like, it is so great. And whatever path lies ahead and whatever avenue they can choose, like, I hope it works because I want it to work so bad. Because it is so great. Like this semifinals, those last 3 weeks were some of the most exciting 3 weeks of semifinals and regionals in recent memory for me. Maybe because I'm getting old, but I've also been around quite a while. It was amazing. Every week there was something on the line to the very second, and some made it in, some made it out, and they were in different positions before that final event and 36 feet away of lunging to the finish line. And it was fantastic. The programming was excellent. My favorite part about this year's programming is that we got to talk about athletes' performances, what I feel like is the first time in a very long time, which we used to be able to do during regionals, which I think is why everybody loved regionals. Because like you ask about certain events, they're like, unless they're just a nerd, an old school CrossFit historian, they're like, I don't remember what the events were, but I remember Scott Panchik versus Rich Froning in the Central East region in 2014, or Dan Bailey coming on the scene in 2012, or what he did in the Open. And no one talks about the events that they were doing. They're talking about the athletes and how they were performing. And then when we went to the sanctional system, all we talked about was what the programming was and what the events were and where they were going to be and what's the leaderboard look like. We never talked about athletes' performances, and we couldn't because they weren't A-to-A relationships from event to event. And then semifinals in 2021, they were still different programming. So we didn't talk about the athletes' performances. We just said who won and what were the events were. And then even last year, we talked less about athletes' performances and more about like the new things that were placed in here, all the machines that were used. Were the runners calibrated right? Was the sled drag, different from region to region, which it was because of the way the rubber mats were made or the cloth or, but this year with the programming all the same and it's all classic, when did we really ever talk about the programming as the main focus of the conversation? Unless it's on our podcast specifically talking about that, I would argue percentage-wise, never. But what do we talked about the athletes and the regions and the performances. That's all we talked about. And all I say was like, finally we got to talk about what we want. I don't want to talk about the programming as the story of the week.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. It's like, oh, let's have another conversation about lane 8 in Europe.
Wild Zombie 499. Ooh, that's fun to say. Someone gets to say this all the time. That was really fun to say. Wild Zombie 499. Do you know why it was exciting? Because the outside media built the stories, Taylor, Colton, Haley, etc. Yeah, no. Yes. That's
because
why
the outside media was there last year too. And all we talked about was other stuff. Now the media has gotten better, right? The outside media is the same media as they were last year, as they are this year. They've just gotten bigger and better. It's the stories that we were given because the programming allowed those things to happen. We didn't talk about certain movements or certain things like that were totally outside the athletes competing. Right? So no, it was the athletes' performances with the program they were given that gave us the stories to tell. We just have more people telling the stories now. We didn't have any of these stories last year. All we talked about was sleds, machines, and pirouettes. That's it. Or rucksacks on muscle ups or injuries that people were getting removed from. Like that is all we talked about last semifinal season. Mm-hmm. And this year we got to talk about the athletes, and they were given a good platform because they were given a platform to perform where we didn't feel like the story of the day was the programming or the equipment or any other bullshit outside of what these athletes are capable of, which is incredible things. Mm-hmm. So I love the semifinal season.
Last one. I know you got to go. Oh,
you're good. I'm not pressed for time.
Okay. I had more fun kind of watching the races for the last like 2 spots to go to the games more than I did the Roman and Jeff Adler race, even though that was fun. Like, sure. Yeah, that was fun. You knew one of them was going to win. Dallin coming in and grabbing that. That was fun.
Dallin.
Yep.
Claiming fans and hearts, just watching that boy move. I'm just like, oh.
And you never see him. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, and Dallin in second. Oh, and Dallin comes out and wins. But they're not really talking about him until he's.
Yeah, you got to get there first. And Dallin's been on the cusp. I mean, he took 5th last year at the CrossFit Games. But now that 2nd place finish, 3 points behind Jeff Adler, 3 ahead of him.
Almost won. Like he almost won and could have been first. Then that's pretty cool.
What does that do for him though? Does that blow him up now that he is like, even if he had won, he's 2nd place. Does this now his face all over everything? Is he the new?
Not yet. But what I like is that he's been getting out there a lot too and showing personality.
Yeah.
The Taylor versus the World quarterfinals was a perfect example of him getting mic'd up at Wadapalooza. was fantastic. And then just seeing that, and then like the interviews that he's doing, like talking shit to Roman right after Roman said something to him in a post interview, right? Like how many people have grabbed the mic just to say something other than like, try our best and we do this. And I love all my competitors and I'm so proud of them and I respect all of them. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like you want to beat them just as much as anybody else.
Yeah. Well, I think
You're over there clapping for them when they're done because you're finished. So now you can celebrate their performance because
And
they're
be like,
not a threat to you anymore.
Yeah.
Now, the thing I like the most, I just wanted to, is the thing I loved about semifinals is like, the question has arrived is like, or has come up before is like, there's too many spots at the CrossFit Games in semifinals, so it's not exciting. I was like, I totally disagree. I don't care about the podium anymore. Our podium athletes will get their due in Fort Worth, Texas in August. Now we don't have to focus about those 3 anymore. We get to talk about more people all weekend long because the volatility between the 3 in and the 3 out is a storyline all weekend long. And so instead of focusing on 1, 2, and 3, which are basically locked by the time you get to Sunday, especially in traditional format where there was 2, 2, and 2 every day, by the time you got to day 3 is like, aside from an epic collapse, which is not going to happen, nothing's going to change, right?
There was an epic collapse, right?
No, I'm saying like old school days when they took on 3 people, right? Those 3 spots are pretty much solid the whole time, barring an exciting region here or there. Right? Semifinals was fantastic because we got to watch our favorite athletes compete, and then we got to watch these athletes that we don't know battle their asses off, and then we talked about them and we tried to figure out who they were, and then we got invested in their performance, and now we get those stories going into the CrossFit Games this year, where the top athletes will get their time in the spotlight at the games. Semifinals, which is why regionals was so important. Regionals was like the middle class of America. Right. It was just those middle tier athletes, the dream chasers.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And that's where it was really cool. And that's, I think, why everybody was so upset when the system got changed in 2019 is because it almost gutted the whole middle. And then it was just like top or bottom. I feel like we're getting some of that middle back with some of the consistent we've had. And those stories are the most fun to tell because we don't need to talk about Jeff, Roman, and Dallin. Well, maybe Dallin a little bit, like
Allen, not Ricky, not any of those. Yeah, I don't want to know.
The race between Ricky Jay and Bailey Martin at the Torium Pro was absolutely incredible. Gracie Walton versus Maddie Stewart, absolutely incredible. Right? So we had amazing races top to bottom, just depending on how you want to look at it. So I really like these deeper fields, honestly, because you get more stories, more drama, more churn at the bottom, which is the story, versus if we only took the top 3, we know who's going.
Right.
We're more on the edge of our seat. Yeah, we're more on the edge of our seat watching that cut line versus anything else because it's those top like 6 to 7 people that are constantly shifting. One might have one really good event, then why not?
They're not so well rounded that we know they're going to get top 5 every event, so they're going to be fine in the top 3. Yeah, it's like everyone's punting something outside the top 20. Which one is it going to be? I don't know you, so I don't know which time it's going to happen. That's the other thing too. Is like we know Tia's strengths and weaknesses. And all these top athletes, these perennial games athletes, we know that. It's like, hey, this is not going to be her best event, but she'll still take a top 3. These ones at the bottom is like, we don't know as well. So we don't know their strengths and weaknesses, and we don't know how they're going to handle the pressure and the situations that they're in. And so that excitement of the unknown of what's going to happen goes back with the fandom. And to your original question is like, whatever the path forward is, I hope it's up. I hope whatever we can do to boost the games, the whole season, whatever path that is, I'm all for, because it's a great, exciting sport. There's a lot of fun and excitement in the space when it comes to that. And the more we can grow that, the better.
Awesome. Awesome, dude. You want to field some of these questions real quick before we get out of here? And
I haven't opened the comments this whole time.
Well, Bernie did ask, and this was way up or whatever. I don't know exactly how he worded it, but like, how do you feel about Roman talking shit on the mic to Dallin and them having, and then Dallin talking shit back and kind of having that moment together of that drama of keeping everybody on their toes, compared to him going on social media and having a problem with the run last year and Jeff, trash talking and whatever, and how that's a poor, I forget what he said, like a cheat games or a poor games or whatever. Like, how do you compare the two?
I compare it like Roman just didn't know how to handle that situation at first, and he handled it very poorly. And I hope that he's learned from that, it's like, I don't hold that against it. Like when I saw that come out, I was like, dude, come on. And now that I see it on the other end, where he seems to be like cool with it and encouraging it and having fun with it, I'm like, now you get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
And so I hope is like, and this thing is like, I'm not going to hold someone to the fires for like the one thing they did that nobody liked or they made a mistake. If they could fix it and learn from it and get better from it, maybe that was the best thing to ever happen to you, not something I hold against you for the rest of your life.
And that's also too we were trying to talk about it before, the heel character. You get like Andrew Hiller, his online persona is kind of the heel character. But when the heel character.
The whole heel.
But when
whole damn foot.
But when you meet him in real life, he's the sweetest, nicest dude, ready to give you the shirt off his back. So this Angel Reese thing, going back to that, just lean into being the heel. It doesn't mean you can't be a nice, awesome person people want to hang out with outside of a professional basketball game. That's still all possible.
Because everybody wants to be liked by everybody these days. And if one person says something negative in the comments, it totally destroys the 1,000 that the positive ones they got.
I think Roman should lean into being the heel as well. I mean,
bro, you're Russian. You're already there.
Yeah. They won't give you
putting your flag on the leaderboard, bro. Just lean into it. But like be the fun one. Cause like Roman is a fun dude. Like Roman in 2022 captured the hearts of everybody.
Yeah.
And then I was so upset when he acted the way he did at the end of 2023 on the back end of like breaking his foot and still podium. It was in a position to win the CrossFit Games. And like that, the way that ended with the social media, it was like what is that thing? Like an ick?
Yeah.
Like, bro,
cringe.
Yep.
I thought you were hard, man. I painted you as this like hard Russian bear. Like that's what I wanted with like the soft dad side too. I resonated with that a little bit too. I was like, okay. And then that I was like, oh, bro, come on. All right. So I hope we can get past that.
Jake's got, do we ever think media will ever go back to focusing on the affiliates, or are we so removed from the games athletes now that the disconnect means a lack of promotion won't impact either?
Do I ever think we will go back to focusing on the affiliates? Yes, I think we 100% should. And I'm not saying that because I work on the affiliate side for CrossFit. It's like the affiliates, as we know, is like the bedrock of everything, right? The CrossFit Games can't survive without the affiliates because of fan base and community and the way like we feel what they feel in the same way as anything else is like, yes, of course it was. And the bigger the platform, what's up, bro? You're hungry. Okay. Give me 5 minutes.
See some affiliate commercials pop out. I think Sevon's going to do some. He's trying to get everybody to make him some. Oh,
this little guy. You can say hi.
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 How are you, bud? Oh, you got earphones in. You can't hear.
I can't hear. He can't hear.
He's a little mini you. Holy crap.
You see my wife. I feel like he looks like my wife. He looks like my wife, acts like me.
Oh. I'm sure she's thrilled.
Yeah. My daughter looks like me, but acts like my wife.
Oh, I was saying that acts like you.
No. Yeah. I got both of them.
Hi, Trish.
Oh yeah. Supporting the affiliates in every which way we can from a public perspective. It's like, absolutely. And that was the really sweet spot we had in 2018 at the peak of media for CrossFit, was that it was an entire ecosystem all working together. And then that all just got disrupted by disbanding the media department. And then everyone's just kind of trying to land where they can and get a grab and then build from there. And yes, like that is a very important part. And, you know, CrossFit's doing so much to support the affiliates now on the back end for the owners is like, yes, the public part of that too, with media, marketing, things like that is on the forefront of that process. And yes, it's definitely needed. And the bigger the sport grows, the more of a lens and microphone we can have for our affiliates. Right? And as those grow because of that, so does the baseline. Like it's a huge symbiotic relationship. And this idea that people have of like separating sport from CrossFit, I think that's the worst idea we could ever have, because the sport is great because of the methodology behind it and the affiliates and the millions of people around the world that do CrossFit and the hundreds of thousands that sign up for the Open. Like, we get that. And not only are we passionate, we're passionate because I've never, like, you failing at the end of lunges and having your dreams crushed. I've never, well, actually, no, I have. I have experienced that a couple of times. But is no different than saying, like, that happens in a workout every week where it's like, I thought I could do this. I couldn't do this. I ultimately failed and totally collapsed. And then there's that connection. It's like, I know what that feels like here. I may not know what it's like to lunge with 100-pound dumbbells at the end of the weekend of cow bikes, 30 cows in the assault bike or echo bike and muscle ups. But that moment, that feeling, that emotion, I have felt that on a Wednesday morning at 6 a.m.
Ooh,
And so I think that's where the beautiful connection is. And do we need to separate the methodology from the sport? No, they're already separated. It's not the same thing, right? It's the same ecosystem. And that symbiotic relationship, when we had it, was the best thing. And everything in the middle of that is the trainers and the managers and the affiliate owners and the seminar staff, like all of those people that held the middle, right? They're that glue between the two, in my opinion. We make great trainers, but those that are passionate in the affiliate that want to be great trainers, right? And then those that can sustain or do the sport, is like we put them up there and it's like, hey, go be great. Go show us what is humanly possible at peak fitness levels using this methodology. Right? And so I think it has to stay together to be successful.
I hope it does. And I still would love to see what would happen if Dana took it. I still think that there could be like professional athletes working out in affiliates and coaching affiliates and still have this like incredible platform where UFC was promoting the CrossFit Games. I still think it could work. Oh, damn, I should have said this on Pedro's show. Shoot.
Hey, it just took us an hour and 16 minutes to find the answer. It's okay.
Right.
That minute clock changes everything. This is what I don't want to bring up Jeopardy to promo that, but I'll get these texts all the time from people or comments. They'll DM me and it's like, oh, I would have answered every question right. I'm like, yes, maybe, but it is a different world sitting in the hot seat with either a minute clock for yourself or you against 3 other people with 10 seconds to answer this question. It's a completely different world.
Yep.
I can't do it. I've tried to play because I consider myself like I semi know some things, but not. Oh boy. All right. Last one. This might be from here. Okay. Gotcha. Caller. Hi. Caller. No caller?
No caller.
No caller.
Oh.
Okay, bye,
I
caller.
can't hear you, caller. If you're. Oh, all right. Sorry, caller. I tried. I know the phone line works because I just had that other one. And dude, whoever you are, wherever you are, I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I love you, bro.
Go talk to Jason.
Thanks.
Program all that stuff.
But yeah, for Jeopardy, I couldn't do it. I used to think that I tried to play alongside once. I came up with the answer. I think we got one answer. It was like the final Jeopardy question. And that's only because there was like an extra 30 seconds.
You get the final Jeopardy question. Those are hard.
Yeah. It was.
I got a couple right.
But it took both of us. Like
not the final Jeopardy. What was the one where it was like the girls? I think I got most of the girls questions right.
Nothing.
So
we got a couple new categories today.
I'm excited. And then the one that I thought was really hard was the one where you had to
I'm sorry.
Was it name the event and the exact movements or something like that?
Yeah,
like,
I think it was like the event in the year.
Or something like that. Yeah. Yep.
Which is really hard.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we got you now, Jet. Nope. I heard you.
The challenging part of making the questions is sometimes I'm like, oh, is this too hard that nobody will like it because they don't get it? But I'm like, when I watch normal Jeopardy, I don't answer any of the questions. But I still like it. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting fact.
Yeah.
And so I hope people do enjoy it. I mean, it took a long time. Like it took a couple years actually to like get this off the ground.
Do you make the questions, or do you?
I have a secret Illuminati panel
Oh, okay.
that makes these questions for me.
I mean, they're pretty intense questions. Let's see if we can get Jet. For
I'm
number
trying,
three.
Jet.
Time's a charm.
Maybe.
I don't know why it won't. It is.
Oh.
Roadcaster, go. Hold on.
You hear me?
Ah, there we
There
go.
it is.
There's Jet.
Hey.
There we go. What's going on?
What's up?
What's up, Jet?
Hey, Chase, how far are you from the venue?
45 minutes.
45 minutes. That's nice and close. That's awesome. So you have the lay of the land. How do you feel as though it's going to be over there for spectators, affiliate owners, non-athletes? What's the vibe going to be like? You'd have a better idea than we would due to you knowing the area, knowing the venue, being local over there. So,
do you mean just like in the surrounding areas, like in the city, or the venue itself?
Both. Only because I wanted to go this year, but I feel like as though I wanted to take the year and see how people would react to it and kind of like see how it went first and then maybe go the following year.
So Fort Worth, which is outside of Dallas, is like the country version of Dallas. And they are very proud of that. They really do not want to be like Dallas is, I would say Dallas is like oil money and Fort Worth is like rancher money. If I could, the vibes at least. I mean, they have a cattle drive, I think, every day through the city because there are cattle ranches around in the stockyards that are right there. Dickies Arena is one of the nicest, and like it's only a couple years old, but arenas like anyone will have been in if they've never been to like a professional sports arena. And even then, that's what this thing is designed to do. It is designed for events. It is huge. It is intimate at the same time. So you're not just like feeling like you're in the nosebleed cheap seats. Like everybody's on top of each other. It's going to be loud. It's going to be big. It's brand new. Like Dickies Arena is amazing. So I think it's going to be an incredible venue for the spectators and fans alike there in person. And then Fort Worth just has so much stuff to do. Like if you want a good Texas feel, like Fort Worth is actually a great place to go outside of like a small town Texas, because Dallas is fast. And like I said, it's fast. There's a lot of lights, right? And it's this thing. Fort Worth is country boy, Texas, big city. We call it a big city, small town is really what Fort Worth is. So it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a great city, easy to get to, a lot of places to stay and a lot of things to do. So I'm very excited that it's coming to Fort Worth.
What's this about the seats?
Awesome.
Are the
Thanks
seats?
for the insight.
The seats, are there not enough seats in this arena? How big is this?
No, it just sold out in like 5 minutes.
Oh.
Gotcha.
But everybody is asking the question, can they camp out in your backyard or can they stay with you?
Oh, yeah. We apparently I have like 175 people staying with me for the event. But yes, no, I will. I have to defer to my wife on that one. Spoiler alert: the answer would be no.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure her answer would be no.
That's code, by the way, like guy code. If like, let me ask my wife, like it's a no, like it's actually a no from me, but I'm totally going to throw her under the bus just to make sure that I can still be cool with the bros.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
That's what we're here
Jethro, Ernie Garza said, come by the box. I work at Plano, Texas.
Oh man, I wish I could go this year. I'm definitely not going this year, but 2025 is going to be the year when I'm going to head on over there. So
yeah.
Maybe
Awesome.
you can persuade my wife to go too. I've been trying to get her to go to
And I'm not getting on a damn plane
to go.
I saw Boeing. I'm not getting on no plane. You lost your mind. Nope.
Jared, come on, let's go next year. Let's make it a plan. Let's start planning it now.
Just rent an RV.
Okay, that I could do. You want
You
to
can make content on the way there. You can visit CrossFit gyms on your travels. You can do a live podcast from the RV. Yeah.
There you go.
Shout out CrossFit Chief Nation. Hey, Jethro, thanks for hanging out with us the other day on when we were with Ellie. That was awesome, dude. Appreciate you.
Oh no, my pleasure. Yeah, thank you. No, it was great having a chat. I had a busy weekend. My son had a dance competition. He was wrecking shop as always, but yeah, I was a little busy. I wish I could hopped on the other day. But anytime you guys want to hang out, it's great to have like a nice little insight from this perspective of affiliate owner. And anytime. And you guys are more than welcome to come down to the gym whenever you want. We're having events here and there, so I'll hit you up definitely on the DMs and let you know.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
I'm cleaning my pool now, so I'm gonna keep listening to the podcast.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Bye, Jet.
Bye, Jet. Thank you.
I'm the pool boy for now. So
Later, dude. Also, too, he's not lying, but Jethro slides into my wife's DMs. He doesn't slide into my DMs. And now he just said he's a pool boy. I might be nervous now. I might have to I don't normally check phones. We might have to check these phones now. And then last question, Jake wants to know if you're going to Rogue. Jake Chapman.
I don't know yet, but I would love to go to Rogue this year. I think that it's going to be, I think Rogue this year is going to be nuts. It's what it should have been the last couple of years when it's been outside Austin and Round Rock, but bringing that overseas, I'm glad they did it. I've been saying that for a couple of years that Rogue needs to go overseas because the amount of people that would turn up out in Round Rock in Texas isn't the amount that that event. And I don't use deserve a lot because I really despise that word for the most part, but it's going to be great. And yes, I would love nothing more than to be there for that.
I hope Pedro gets to go. I want him to do his content the way that he did it. He went to Wadapalooza and stuff. That'd be fire. But I don't know if his wife's
if he goes to Wadapalooza, I'm pretty sure that is an easier trek.
Well, he's expecting a new baby. So
no, he already had it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, what? Congrats, Pedro.
Baby's out.
Pedro's released. Okay, cool. Awesome. Pedro's released. Shackles off. Nice. Congrats, Paige. Did not know that. All right, guys. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Savan will be back tomorrow with one of his 85 million guests. I don't actually know which one is tomorrow because I don't understand the background of this StreamYard. But
hey, the fact you got the phone to work at all, I was actually
right. Fire.
Yeah.
Twice. Got it to work twice. So go watch Jeopardy. What time is it again, Chase? So everybody knows.
1 p.m. Central. It's back.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. All the guys at Bernie, you're awesome, dude. Just ask all the questions. He should just write the questions for everybody.
Yeah, Bernie's got really good questions.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you for letting me hang out with y'all. Chase, thanks for answering my
thanks for having me. Yeah, that was fun. That's like my first whole podcast on the Savan podcast. And he wasn't even,
Oh,
it's probably why I came on. It was a safe space. I was like, I can go, yeah.
Don't ever call this podcast a safe space.
No, this podcast is definitely not a safe space, right? But if it was just like Chase as the actual guest for the show for the whole thing and Savan was running it, then there would be a lot of people like
writing notes, taking clips,
All right, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bam.